everyone. Welcome back to another edition of The Wrap-Up. Danny Myers, Nick Buckler, at your service for some opinions that you may not even care for, but guess what? You get them anyways. Every day, each week. Lions, they drafted over the weekend, and let me tell you, folks, I was all right with it.
What'd you think? Yeah.
Bobby Quinn coming in, had the trenches were obviously his number one goal. And he started off in the first round by taking an offensive tackle, Taylor Decker from Ohio State, the Ohio State University Buckeyes. They had 6 players drafted in the first round. Incredible. I don't know how they're going to be good. They just dismantled their squad. Ezekiel Elliott went 4th overall to the Cowboys. But Decker goes 16 to the Lions. I like the pick. Definitely their first 3 picks were trench picks. If you're not sure what that means, it's offensive and defensive line in the trenches. They need protection for their franchise quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Second round, they take A'Shawn Robinson, a freak defensive tackle.
Huge.
From Alabama, Crimson Tide, Roll Tide. And then the third round, they take Graham Glasgow from right here, University of Michigan. He's a center. See you, Nick Swanson. I like those 3 trench picks, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor Decker was great to see, especially if we're not going to re-sign Riley Reef. So that'd be nice. And also, A'Shawn Robinson, that guy is huge. He's got tree trunk legs. He's just going to be incredible. He's powerful, and he's got that brute force to match any NFL power.
Yeah, he really does. And Graham Glasgow, I think, is a real underrated pick. Obviously, we've had the chance to watch him every week, and he's a center. The Lions needed a center. Obviously, Dominic Raiola retired or wasn't brought back 2 seasons ago, the longtime center, known to take dumb penalties and kind of screw the team. But Glasgow's a center who was All-American, protected Jake Rudock, protected Devin Gardner, which isn't saying much, but he was good. And early maybe, but I think it's a value pick. And then we're going to move on to the value, the depth picks, 4th through 7th round. The Lions had 3 6th-round picks, a 4th, a 5th, and a 7th as well. They had 10 overall draft picks. 4th round, they took one of, I think, the best value pick of the draft. Speaking of value and depth, is Miles Killebrew from Southern Utah. He's a safety. He can play free safety. He can play small safety. He's a hard hitter, a lot of versatility, can play really anywhere, can line up against a tight end, but can still cover a guy in the nickel as well. Hard hitting, really good pick who can battle for a starting spot next year. And then they took Joe Dahl and Antoine Williams in the 2nd round, or in the 5th round rather, an offensive lineman, another trench pick, and then a linebacker and Antoine Williams. We'll have to see. Williams maybe more so a special teams kind of player, but you never know. The linebacker position, other than DeAndre Levy, is pretty depleted. There's still a decision to be made on Stephen Tulloch because he hasn't been picked up, and it's been alleged that he's been not brought back and bought out or released. But Bob Quinn in his post-draft press conference said he has no updates on Stephen Tulloch. So that's still to be determined. Joe Dahl, though, can compete for a spot. You got to have depth in the trenches. We saw that last year with one of the worst offensive lines we've ever seen. Swanson, Ola, Larry Warford's good, but he was the only guy that was doing anything. And then, obviously, Riley Reef has been a disappointment as well. So Joe Dahl's a guy that can compete and get in there and play, eat up some snaps. And then the 6th round, where they had 3 picks, and they took at 191 the Michigan quarterback, Jake Rudock, who was 2nd all-time in passing yards in a season. And that kind of goes underrated. Everyone's saying it's not a good pick. I'm against them, and I think Jake Rudock was a great pick, great value. I'm not sold on Dan Orlovsky as your backup quarterback. He played in the pro style, Rudock did, at Michigan. Was it going from a backup at Iowa one year to the starter at Michigan the next year and putting up the 2nd most yards in a season in the history of the program, and no one's talking about that. They're saying he's terrible. He's worse than Connor Cook. Well, I don't know. Connor Cook dropped to the 100th overall pick in the 4th round, and he went to Oakland, where a place he's not even going to smell the field this year. Derek Carr's a great young quarterback. I think Jake Rudock has more upside in the NFL than Connor Cook. I don't know if you could call me crazy, but I don't know. I'll let you talk about that a little bit because I think Rudock is here. Connor Cook's down here. When it came to big games, Connor Cook was invisible. Jake Rudock stepped up.
That's true, and they definitely made something out of that the college team this year for sure. But you can't get too excited as far as what's going on with the draft picks. We all know how that happened with the past couple of years. Johnny Manziel in particular, not to name any names.
Oh,
but
he's just got indicted by federal prison. So, anyways.
Yeah, you really can't believe all the hype. It's just the performance you're going to see on the field. But, it's up till now, we have nothing to judge them on. Well, we have something to judge them on, and that's obviously their college play. And, Rudolph's looking a lot better. But we'll see how it goes. But going back, I love what Quinn did this year. We obviously want to get bigger on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And I just, Miles Killebrew, you were talking about him earlier. Every stat I looked up about him, it just says violent strikes and just very powerful. And we need something like that. We need to instill that fear. I feel like we sort of lost that along the way, especially once we got rid of Ndamukong Suh. But that's down the road, down the river. So we're not worrying about that. But, they are trying to get a bigger, better lines, and that's huge. And I thought I'd have to give them a B+ overall with this draft. B, solid C. We'll see.
Whoa, Dan. Jumped the gun. We still had 3 picks to talk about, and I had grade written.
Okay. I'm just excited. There we go.
Well, let's get to those 3 final picks. The 6th round, they also took a defensive lineman from Penn State, the Big Ten, Anthony Zettel. This guy has a video on YouTube of him knocking down a tree and uprooting it. This guy's a freak athlete. Big, powerful D lineman. He's definitely going to get in the rotation. By the way, just breaking news today, the Lions picked up the 5th-year option on Ezekiel Ansah Ziggy, and so he is under contract, and they picked up his contract. That's music to the Lions fans' ears. But Anthony Zettel will definitely get some rotation. And then they took – this one was drew a little bit of scrutiny, a little bit of uproar from the Lions faithful, the Roar Squad, the Pride Paws, or whatever they're called, the people. They draft a long snapper in the 6th round, Jimmy Landis out of Baylor. And this raised some eyebrows, turned some heads, because one of the better long snappers in the game is Don Muhlbach, and that's been the Lions' long snapper for 10 years. This guy doesn't have bad snaps. This guy can block still. He plays special teams, obviously, and he's the longest tenured Detroit Lion right now. And they basically said, all right, it might be your time. Because you don't draft a long snapper and cut him and don't let him make the team. Don Muhlbach, I'd be a little upset if I were him, because he's done nothing but good things in his time here in Detroit. And I mean, that's the only pick that really I'm scratching my head about, because even Landis, the draftee, said, I didn't expect to get drafted, and they took him in the 6th round. There were, 35 players drafted after him. So it turned some heads, shook up the I don't know what the method to his madness is, Bob Quinn, but obviously he's thinking something. Muhlbach, definitely a good career if this is it for him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
7th round, their final pick in the draft. They take a running back out of Washington, running back Dwayne Washington, and he went to Washington. He is a guy who just a draft pick. Maybe he'll make the team. Maybe he'll be on the practice squad, train those guys to smoke them a little bit. Maybe he'll be on the special teams as well. But obviously this is a team now that signed Stephen Ridley in the offseason. They have Amir Abdullah. This is his time. They drafted him last year. So Abdullah, Stephen Ridley. Obviously they still have Theo Riddick, who's great coming out of the backfield on 3rd downs and in the slot. And then they still have Zach Zenner to make a decision about as well. So Dwayne Washington, not sure I agree with the pick, but it's a 7th round pick. You never know what could happen. Overall, Dan already burst the bubble for me. I am actually saying, B+ to the Lions. So 2 B+ is here for Bob Quinn on his first draft as a general manager. Bringing the Patriot way to Detroit. Dan, now after the draft, got to make a decision here. Preseason prediction. What's their record going to be?
Oh, you know what? I don't like getting too excited about preseason, but I think they'll go 500. I don't know. I'm not completely convinced yet. Obviously, they feel like they have something when they're raising ticket prices, but that's a whole nother story. But I'll look maybe 500. I'm not sure. I really, it's too hard to. There's too much still on the line. Too many variables going on that players and positions that need to be decided. So we'll see. What about you?
All right, Dan. I'm not really big on the Lions. I always kind of rip on them, but I like what I see here. They have an easy schedule, real easy schedule. If they can't win with this schedule, fire everyone, myself included. 10-6 for the boys. Roar, roar, roar. One pride, baby. Let's go. Fire up. 10-6.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is they got one of the easiest schedules this year, and what do you? It's hard to get excited with these guys because we've had so much potential and promise, and we've had so much talent before, and we really couldn't make anything out of it.
Yeah.
So stranger things have happened, and they could go on a pretty good run this year. But if they don't, that's what I think you really got to start looking forward to the future. I feel like we're too concentrated on the present, and we really have to look down the line because, God forbid, something goes wrong and we don't do good this year. Where do we go from here?
Exactly, and they still have a lot of question marks in that secondary. Obviously, James Ahedibo left. They still have Glover Quinn. But at corner, Rashean Mathis is retired and moved on. And you have now your 2 through 6 on the depth chart corner could be swapped in any way, shape, or form. You have Quandre Diggs out of Texas, Alex Carter, who they drafted last year in the 3rd round. And then they have Nevin Lawson starting, who I've been huge on Nevin Lawson. I think he really stepped up. But Darius Slay is your number 1 guy, and he really has to take it and run with it. He played great in the second half last year after he kind of got over him considering himself the best player on the team, the best corner in the game. Big play, Slay. After he got burned by some of the league's best, he kind of brought his head down and said, all right, let's go to work. And he played great in the second half. Nevin Lawson played good, but I really think a big year from Quandre Diggs is coming out of Texas last season. But you never know. I mean, who knows? Anything could happen. And a guy who really has a step up this year, Kyle Van Noy. 2nd round pick 2 years ago. Have you heard his name? No. He's been injured. He's not played. He hasn't made the cut. So it's been a disappointment for a 2nd round pick. It's do or die for him this year, or else he's going to have to move on. So a lot of question marks in this defense, but hopefully they can patch it together. Issa Abdul-Quddus, who stepped up really well in the last couple of years, played special teams and filled in at safety. He has moved on as well. So a lot of holes, but that means a lot of opportunity as well. We're going to move on. A little bit of controversy in the world of sports happened over the past week. The Detroit Red Wings, obviously Olympia Entertainment and the Ilitches are building that new prestigious arena right there off I-75 and Woodward, right down the street from the Fox, the State, Comerica Park as well.
Yep, Ford Field.
It's all right there now. The Joe is off the beating path, down by a whole bunch of nothing, and now the new arena. Everyone's speculating. What are they going to call it? What's it going to be? The Pizza Arena, Little Caesars. They might.
Pizza Arena.
And it was more so a joke. Is it going to be the 1-800-CALL Sam Arena? Is it going to be Flagstar? That everyone was wondering. Well, guess what? They announced what it was going to be called, the naming rights. The richest naming rights sponsorship in American sports was granted to Little Caesars, and it is called the Little Caesars Arena. And fans, they are not happy. Obviously, now I'm going to go back and say it is tied with the richest with Boston TD Garden. $6 million per year. It's a $120 million deal over 20 years, so 6 per. And I looked into some naming rights just to see what they're kind of going for. I thought it was going to be a lot more. Some places like Gillette Stadium in Boston or New England, that's only $2.5 million per year for that naming right. So, just to say some of the bigger names. But now, after this, in 2017, when Little Caesars Arena opens and is in full swing, there will only be one arena left in the NHL that is not a corporate sponsorship. That is, Dan, can you get it?
It's not Toronto, is it?
No.
No.
Toronto's Rogers.
Rogers, that's right, yeah.
Rogers Center. It's New York, Madison Square
Madison
Garden.
Square.
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
So
Wow.
Joe Louis right now and Madison are the only two, and one more season of that. The fans they're upset. There's petitions out there, which I think is absolutely crazy. Little Caesars Arena, it's the Ilitches. They've given back to this city. Little Caesars is a local, originating Garden City. Obviously, Mike Ilitch and his wife founded it, their family, and now they own the Red Wings. It would be, it wouldn't make sense. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. They own a youth hockey organization, Little Caesars, obviously. They play out of the Joe. It's some of the best young talent. They're hockey-oriented, family-oriented, Detroit-oriented. I've seen some comments people say they need something more Detroit. What do you want it to be, people? I could say some things right now that would be more Detroit, but I might lose a job. So I'm going to let it be. Dan, I don't know if you're for it, you're against it. I'm just curious as your opinion.
Honestly, I think you're crazy to think, it was going to have its unique name. Like, I heard speculations of Gordie Howe Arena, whatever, Steve Eiserman Plaza or whatever. It's not going to happen. We live in a time where everything is sponsored, and I'm not thrilled about it, but I'm not upset about it. I think it could have gone, if you look at it from a different perspective, glass half full, it could have been worse. I mean, we could have had I don't know. I don't want to throw any sponsors and get us in trouble.
Sam Arena.
Yeah, I mean,
they seem to be taking over everything.
Little Caesars is that's pretty Detroit.
It's pretty Michigan. It's pretty Detroit.
It's very local.
And let me just interrupt for a second. I apologize, but let's go back to the Lions. The Ford family owns the Detroit Lions. They named theirs Ford Field.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing an uproar about that. Do you? I mean,
No.
I was a little bit younger. I think I was only 10 when that opened.
But then again, it is the Lions versus the Red Wings.
I mean, this is Hockey Town. People are upset. But I'm going to let you get back to your thought. But I just want to throw that out there. It's the same kind of thing.
It could have been a lot worse. It really could have. As far as these petitions, I mean, unless these guys signing the petitions are going to raise more than $6 million a year, good luck. Yeah, that's nice. It's cool that you show that you care, but it's not going to change anything, unfortunately. But I don't think it's that bad. We live in an era now where, like I said, everything was sponsored, and you don't really look at it as a nickname. You look at it as what the arena brings to you. You look at Jerry's World, AT&T. That place is huge, and you think of the AT&T Dome, I believe that's what it's called. Gillette Field, that place is gorgeous too, and it's just something new. This whole sponsorship of different pieces of a game or what have you is still new to people. There's a lot of old timers out there, and no disrespect by saying that. I'm just saying, this traditional front where you had an arena named Joe Louis Arena or Cobo Hall or what have you. They're still not used to this whole sponsorship. So it is going to take some getting used to, but give it 10, 15 years, it won't even be up for discussion.
Exactly.
Not even that long.
People are going to get used to it. And I posted on Facebook this week to kind of spark some angry fans.
Oh, that you're feeling that fire.
I was seeing some people try to post these petitions. I don't care how many signatures you get on a petition. Nothing's going to change. It's a done deal.
Yeah.
Tom Wilson's come out. He's announced it with Chris Ilitch, the Ilitch family, the Red Wings, Olympia Entertainment. It's Little Caesars Arena. Let's change it to Caesars Coliseum. Cool, that sounds cool.
That's sweet.
But guess what? It's not happening. They already have their ice ink, their logos, their everything. It's a done deal, people. Plain and simple. What, are you going to not go anymore? I mean, come on, let's be real. You're going to be down at LCA, Little Caesars Arena, and you're going to be getting weird. You're going to be drinking your $12 beers. You're going to be chanting, "Let's go Red Wings." Or if you're on the bandwagon wearing your, Sidney Crosby jersey or your Blackhawk jersey, let's be real, people. You're still going to go. It's still going to be state of the art. And it's pizza, which Bay loves, apparently, in the new generation. Bay and pizza, or whatever they're saying these days. It's pizza, it's Hockey Town. Someone said Hockey Town Arena. That sounds dumb.
That sounds worse.
Educate yourself.
Right.
All right? Plain and simple, I'm okay with it. It doesn't make a difference if I'm not, because it's still the name.
Right.
You're going to have to deal with it. Society is making people so soft.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it, so it's wrong. That's the problem with today's environment. Everyone's has such an opinion. You say something, everyone gets hurt, and all of a sudden you're the bad guy. Jeez. I wish I was around 40 years ago to see what it was. Even when I was in elementary school, it was different. That wasn't extremely long ago. It's disgusting to me. It's Little Caesars Arena. Enjoy your hot and ready. Enjoy your hockey. We'll be right back.
If ever there's a reason to be swept up in the season of the falling leaves, and if the days grew shorter and the darkness drew its order from the autumn gray, I'd rather sit this out and sleep the day away instead. Weary eyes a bit too slow and deep. Rather sit this out and sleep the day away instead, to worry about the emptiness that comes.
And the 3-2. Fly ball in the air to left field. Ball hit well to the track, to the wall. And Castellanos has tied it up. It is gone. A home run. Nick goes deep to make it a 5-5 game.
He finally stayed back on one of those hanging breaking balls that Nolasco has been featuring all afternoon long.
That is right, Tigers baseball. It's back, folks. Dan, I know you haven't been playing a close eye because you said I should continue to not watch, and maybe they'll keep winning games. And that they've done that. After getting swept by the Tribe at home, Cleveland, the mistake by the Lake. I went off last week, got real upset about the team, saying clean house, fire everyone, trade the boat. Well, they are now 14-10, sitting second in the division. They passed Kansas City. They passed Cleveland. Obviously, they're ahead of Minnesota. Me and you could form a team and be ahead of Minnesota. But 5 in a row, more importantly. But there's still some struggles throughout. The offense has obviously woken up. Nick Castellanos leads the American League in batting average. So it's a coming out party for him. This is a big deal. He was their pride and joy in the minors for many years. Everyone's saying, call him up, move Miggy to first, put him at third. Well, guess what, folks? It happened, and you were upset about it. For years, 2 years. Oh, he's terrible. Trade him. Oh, that's funny. Last year you're saying call him up, move Miggy to first. That happened. People will never be happy and satisfied. Guess what happened, though? He's now hitting 381. Leads the American League. And Justin Verlander's pitching well. Jordan Zimmerman, he is worth every penny of that $110 million. He improved to 5-0, and let me tell you, folks, the lowest ERA in the month of April in the Major League history. At .55, his ERA for the month. 5-0. Guy's the real deal. Pitched against Saturday, shut down, gave up 1 run. It was a home run, solo shot to Park on the Minnesota. They swept Minnesota, you got to sweep Minnesota. Yeah. Clear the dust out. Sweep them. They won the last 2 the series against Oakland at home. Mm-hmm. Now they go to Cleveland. Hopefully they don't contract anything. It's a mistake. The team is they're on the up right now. They're getting their pieces back. Francisco Rodriguez is starting to shut the door a little bit. K-Rod. Obviously, Mark Lowe's pitching well. The guy who's pitching well is Wilson out of the bullpen, not Alex, the lefty. I can't think of his name. He's pitching lights out. He's pitching really well. Alex Wilson's coming back. Blaine Hardy's coming back. James McCann is coming back, but why? Jared Saltalamacchia is hitting the cover off the ball. Leads the team in homers. JD's hitting well. Upton's finally decided to blow the dust off his bat. Take the Band-Aids off, as Dave Rosemo would say. But Dan, I want to get your take. Tigers.
Yeah, they're coming together, which is it's about time. You can see that the bats are actually really being active by just looking at the scores. And one guy, I don't know if you mentioned or not, but Fulmer, I thought he was terrific. I was really impressed.
Debut,
yeah, really impressed. Good story they put together during the game. Obviously, they had his girlfriend and his mom and dad sitting up there. But yeah, he looked solid. He had some speed. I mean, obviously, speed's not going to get you everywhere, but you know, it was really impressive for a start. And I think he's got potential. He's a big dude. Yeah. Really excited to see him. Hopefully, he comes through. We don't get another Shane Green where he shows up, but I don't want to.
That's who he filled in for. Shane Green.
Yeah.
Out with that blister, but yeah, Michael Fulmer, the #1 prospect in the Tigers organization according to Baseball America. So that's really good to see him come in, pitch 5 innings, scatter 7 hits. They weren't really high pressure situations. They were scattered. Had a couple walks, but had some strikeouts as well, and only 1 earned run. So a really good, positive step in the right direction to finally see some of this young talent kind of turn the corner. Obviously, Daniel Norris had a setback, but he's still just a couple weeks away. So we can get him. And Mike Pelfrey's really struggled. He's now, well, although he didn't lose Sunday, the team fought back and got him a win. Not for him, but he's 0-4. His ERA is upwards of 5, and really not looking like a good signing. His stuff is flat. I feel bad for the guy. He seems like he's not. No one tries to do bad. You can hate him all you want, but the fans here are so brutal on some guys. But I mean, you're a professional athlete. You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And he's working to deal with it. He's trying. But I think he's been better than Anibal Sanchez this year. Anibal Sanchez has been poor. He's been no short of bad. His ERA is over 7. Just nothing really going right. He's walking guys, and that's not like him at all. He normally is one of the best strikeouts to walks ratio in the league, and it's really been a disappointing start for him this year.
Right, yeah. You don't really want to say he's clutch, but he's one of those guys that you can depend on should you need it. Not all the time, but he's one of those guys you really don't have to worry about most of the time. So, he's got to get his stuff in gear and hopefully turn that around.
I did say I think he's going to be the next Tigers pitcher to throw a no-hitter if they do have one of those in the future. But I think I'm going to retract that, and I don't know who I'm going to give it to yet. I need to take some time, go back to the drawing board, and hope for maybe someone to steal my thunder. I'm angry right now. Don't know why. But we're going to pull my best Tony Reale impression, try to hit this camera with this lovely rundown script that I made all by myself with no help from anyone. For Dan Myers, I'm Nick Buckler saying sayonara to our Japanese friends on another edition of The Wrap Up. That was sad.